How's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. Today's topic I want to discuss with you a 401k versus IRA for dummies. So I don't wish to offend anybody with that title. I just want, somebody that doesn't really understand the differences between a 401k and an IRA and kind of what are the benefits with each, and to try to see whether or not they have certain gaps with their current plan and how to suffice those gaps, when setting up a specific type of IRA or setting up something that will correlate to a more concrete retirement planning process. So to get started, what exactly is a 401k? And a 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement plan, meaning that it's set up directly through your employer. So if you're working for a private institution, you might be handed a type of employee benefits package that states that you could now have access to place dollars to take money from your salary that you would earn every year and place it into a type of retirement account. So essentially what you're doing is, let's say if you have an individual that makes $100,000 a year for easy math, this individual now has access to place X amount of percentage of their salary of that $100,000 into a type of retirement bucket. This bucket is now being deemed a 401k. So if someone's placing 10% of their salary and this person made 100 grand, that means that what? $10,000 is going into this 401k plan. If they put 5% of their salary into it, then that means obviously $5,000 is going to go in there. So the 401k, because it's set up through the employer, typically the employer wants to try to incentivize somebody to stay with that company, and this 401k, they might be offering something known as a match. So what a match does is they'll say, okay, if you make $100,000, we're going to match you up to 2%. A lot of times there's a misconception that individuals say, oh, I have a 100% match with my 401k. And that's simply not the case. It's actually impossible. If somebody, and some of the misconceptions that come into my office is they're saying, oh, if I place, $30,000 into my 401k plan, my company's going to match me $30,000. And that's not the case. Essentially what they try to do is they'll say 100% match up to a specific limit. So in more common than not, more frequent times, that match has really gone by the wayside. You used to have employers that were matching 5% of an individual that was placing 5% of their salary. They would match 100% 5%. So that means if somebody placed $5,000 into their 401k account, that means $5,000 would go in there, and then the company would also match $5,000. So therefore, the bucket would have $10,000 sitting in that type of 401k account. Now, in more recent times, it's been very standard match is either 1%, 2%, and that's with a decent company. So that means if you had $100,000, if you put $2,000 into your policy, into your type of 401k account, and you had a match of 2%, that means that you would have $4,000 that was contributed to that 401k account for that year. Now, the problem with the 401k account is not so much the match is a good aspect of the 401k. If you're offered a match, my recommendation is always you want to at least place what that match contribution is, because that's free money that's essentially going into your bucket. The problem lies is what is the type of interest credit that's going to come back to your bucket. It goes by how many dollars you're placing into this bucket, and then essentially the percentage rate of return that comes back. The way that this percentage rate of return is computed is through mutual funds. So you're going to have access to a different slew of mutual funds depending upon which is the 401k sponsor. So you might have like a Fidelity or a T. Rowe Price. They're going to have their own slew of mutual funds that you could essentially choose into your 401k. So what that means, if they're mutual funds, it's a combination of stocks and bonds. So if your mutual fund performance goes down, even if you placed $100,000 into your 401k account, or you have $100,000 sitting in your 401k account at the beginning of the year, if the mutual fund performance comes back with negative 50%, well, then your bucket's going to decrease by that amount. So your $100,000 will go to $50,000 that one year. The reason why I say that is because you have to be mindful of the negatives. You have to be mindful that if the market goes down, your account's going to go down with it. Just like individuals that are very upset about what happened with the 2008 market crash. Individuals thought that as long as they kept throwing more and more dollars at their 401k plans, that their money should always be going up, going up, going up. The whole reason for this growth is to eventually and majority of the times, the reason for the 401k growth, why someone's saving money into a 401k plan, is to then leverage that specific to their retirement planning or their retirement planning needs. So when we're looking at an IRA, we understand that a 401k is an employer-sponsored plan, An IRA is more set for the individual, so it's known as an individual retirement account. So now you could be more specific and more flexible on how you want your retirement planning goals to occur with an IRA as opposed to a 401k. A 401k, you're more limited, you're more restricted on what sorts of mutual funds that 401k could actually be invested into, because you just have a platform that's set up through your employer, as opposed to an IRA, which maybe the 401k might offer you, 10 to 15 different types of funds. The IRA might offer you 200 to 300 different types of funds. So you essentially have more eggs in your basket to play with, and to then pick out a higher quality, type of mutual fund, is that if that is your goal. So when we're looking at this little chart, we understand one is employer sponsored, meaning that if the employer is sponsoring this, then therefore they're the ones making the decision on how many mutual funds are in there, what's the employer match into that type of bucket. But ultimately, the negatives are still there with that type of 401k, meaning that if the market crashes, you're paying 401k related fees onto that account, you're paying mutual fund related fees onto that account, and if the market goes down, you could essentially have a large dip into your 401k bucket. The IRA contract could mimic that if you're looking for that type of wealth accumulation process, and you could still have those different types of negatives, meaning the fees associated with that IRA account, the mutual fund related fees associated with that IRA account, and also the downward market loss potential in that type of IRA account. But you have more flexible options. Understand, the IRA does not have a match associated with it, because who's going to be, you're not going to be matching yourself onto an individual retirement account. The 401k does have a match. So, there are some pros and cons with each aspect. One of the things that I really want to hit home with this video is both of these types of contracts fall victim to something known as reverse dollar cost averaging. What reverse dollar cost averaging is it's a power of compound interest that could work negatively against your accounts. So if you have an individual that is placing dollars into a 401k account, and let's say they were working for a company since they were 30 years old, they were placing dollars into this account for the last 30 years, so now they're 60, and maybe they started off with, obviously, nothing was in their 401k plan, and now they grew this account to $500,000. Well, what exactly happens at that point in time when this individual wants to now start taking money from their retirement account? How do they know how much money to pull out so that they do not outlive their money for retirement? So first off, what we want to do is hone in on what are the negative aspects. What prevents somebody from properly being able to retire and retire with confidence? So let me clear off this. And let's think about for a second, what does somebody ideally want to happen in their life for their retirement accumulation, and then your eventual retirement plan, your eventual retirement? What do you foresee in your retirement? Majority of individuals, they want to know that if they're placing dollars into a type of retirement account, these dollars are going to gain every single year that they're placing money into that type of bucket, and then on top of it, how they could constantly get a positive aspect, a positive interest credit to their type of account, so that this bucket's going to grow larger and larger and larger. The reason why somebody would want to have that bucket grow larger is obviously the higher that it grows, the more money you could then use for retirement income at a later date. So ideally, if we understand that somebody wants to grow their retirement accounts to then say, you know what, when I'm age 65, when I'm age 66, when I'm age 67, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work anymore. I essentially want to go and trigger some sort of retirement income plan, something that will provide me income during my retirement years, that I could spend my retirement dollars with confidence. I could travel, I could, go and visit my grandchildren. I could go and hang out on a beach and just kind of relax and enjoy life, because I've worked so hard throughout my actual working years, and now I actually want to enjoy life during my retirement and just understand there's a constant paycheck coming to me year by year by year. By understanding this aspect, okay, what are the things that kind of ruin that entire retirement picture? And that is the reverse dollar cost averaging. With 401k or IRAs that are set up the incorrect way or set up with risk, there's going to be certain fees associated with those types of accounts. So the 401k and the IRA accounts, you're going to have miscellaneous 401k related fees, associated with the 401k account. On top of it, you're also going to have mutual fund related fees, because those are tied to mutual funds. So those mutual funds, those offerings of stocks and bonds, are going to have their own slew of fees with it. A wealth accumulation specialist typically charges something known as a wrap fee, an advisor fee, that's going to be coming out of your account every single quarter or every single year, and that's going to average right around 1%. So if we tally up all these different negatives with it, the 401k slash IRA related fees, we have the mutual fund related fees and the advisor fees, that's going to average about 2%. So if you have an account that has $1 million to it, and some people watching this say, I don't have $1 million into my account. Well, I want to show you this for easy math to understand the impact of what these things can do on a negative aspect. Well, if your account gains 0%, let's say the market was kind of going up, going down, going up, going down, and at the end of the year you gain 0% into your account, if you had $1 million into this account, you would have ended up losing $20,000 worth of value by just the fees alone. So that's one aspect, that's one really important negative aspect of reverse dollar cost averaging. The second aspect is downward market loss. You had individuals in 2008 that the average portfolio lost 57%. These were portfolios that were even instructed through financial gurus or through specific advisors that were tacking on wrap fees onto these types of accounts, and that account still went down. It's because if the market wants to go down, the market's going to go down. So back in 2008, the average portfolio lost 57%. If we're just taking a very realistic scenario of, let's say, the market loses 10%, well, you now have to tack on the minus 10% loss and also the minus 2% loss in the fees. So therefore, your account is down 12%. If, let's say, you try to take out income from this account as well, and you're not really sure how much income to pull out of this account because all you were doing is just trying to save as much money as possible, understand, first off, you have to have a specific retirement income plan set up. If you don't have it set up properly, then you run that chance of outliving your dollars, outliving your retirement when you're in your 70s, when you're in your 80s, times when most likely you don't want to go back to work when you're in your 70s or in your 80s. So that's why you want to make sure that your plan is set up specifically now and correctly. So therefore, if let's say you try to take out 5% of your bucket, in this case you took out $50,000, well, you would have taken out 5%, but you would have actually lost 17% of value that 1 year in this type of situation. These are very realistic scenarios, and what we're constantly seeing is the volatility with the market, and we're constantly seeing the panic of saying, I don't want to have any losses to my type of account. The point that I'm trying to make is, if you have accumulations with your 401k account, you could go, there's certain criteria that has to be met. Let's say if you leave your company, you might have an old 401k that's sitting there. You could roll it over into a specifically designed IRA contract that is designed to eliminate this reverse dollar cost averaging effect. So what do I mean by that? Something that you could go and roll over your 401k into a specifically designed IRA contract that does not have any mutual fund related fees, does not have any advisor fees, does not have any downward market loss potential, and then essentially you could tack on an additional thing known as an income rider to these types of IRA contracts that will provide lifetime income at your specified date that you want to retire. So you could be working for a company, say, okay, I'm 60 years old, I now have eligibility to roll over my 401k into the specifically designed IRA contract. I understand at age 66, I'm going to be receiving $30,000 of income from Social Security, and now I want to have my 401k funds be placed into a type of IRA contract that's now going to produce an additional $30,000. So now I have $60,000 that's coming to me every single year until the day that I die or me and my spouse passes away for the rest of my life. If I live to 100, I still have $60,000 that's coming to me every single year. If I pass away within the first couple of years, well, then everything remaining that I did not pull from that type of account would now be left to my beneficiaries. So it's all about the differences. It's all about with the IRA contracts. This is one of the things I love about is you don't have to go specifically in mutual funds. You don't have to go specifically towards that risk aspect. You could tie it to certain accounts that grow whenever the market goes up, gain 0% whenever the market goes down. So you have that safety and consistency, the power of compound interest working in a positive direction while we're stopping the bleeding of the negative direction. So, these are just some different food for thought. I want you to kind of review this video. I want you to take down notes, and if any part of this video was appealing to you and very interesting, I want you to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. We've separated ourselves on a national basis from other independent institutions out there, making sure that we could set individuals up on that safe retirement income plan properly. And the way that we do this is through a specific process that's proprietary to a Fossey Financial Group known as the Retire Sharp Planning System. On average, for an individual call into our agency and they say, I want to speak to a 401k to IRA specialist, we have 24/7 customer service. You call us mornings, nights, weekends, holidays, whatever that is, and we'll have a specialist standing by to help answer your questions. At the end of the day, it's not about the companies that you go into. It's not the type of IRA contracts that you go into. At the end of the day, it's all about the individual. Your goal is going to be different than the individual up the street. Your age, what you want to see as a type of retirement income coming to you, or retirement plan or a safe accumulation plan, whatever the case may be, is going to be specific to you. And that's the most important thing that you have to kind of get out of these videos is what are the negatives? How exactly do I eliminate the negatives? How can I set up my plan properly so that I could have retirement confidence going forward? You could always have that retirement paycheck will always be coming to you. You understand that you have your inheritance planning. God forbid something was to happen to you in the interim, that there's at least something that would go to your beneficiaries in your accounts. If you keep living, you have that longevity plan that will prevent you from outliving your money. And that's what we're trying to do is leverage specific types of contracts, specific types of IRA contracts that provide that lifetime income, to individuals, and so that you'll always be confident, you'll always be happy. One of the things is we are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. We've always had very good reviews. We've never had any complaints, and it's because of our methodical process. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you can have access to the most updated videos. Thank you so much, guys.